everybody. You know me, I'm Mary with Earthing Star Spiritual Wellness Center. And today I have a very special guest, Ron Schaeffer with Obsidian Firewalking. How are you, Ron?
Hello, very well today. Thank you.
I loved your spirit fire fingers. Ron is one of the facilitators who's going to be with us at the I Shine Inner Fire Retreat this coming June in Highlands, North Carolina. And he is going to be facilitating, him and his wife Patty are going to be facilitating the firewalking portion of this. And Patty couldn't be with us today, but I'm sure we're going to talk lots and lots about your lady love.
Oh, absolutely. And she is the love of my life. We have such a fantastic story together.
I want to hear that story, actually. Can you tell us your love story? You didn't know that this would be a love story, did you?
Um, well, it turns that way sometimes. So, yes, our circles intermingled together before we met for our entire lives. Can you believe that? Our entire lives. We were born in the same summer, the summer of '67, the summer of love. And we were both born in Jackson, Mississippi. And when I was about 3 months old, my aunt was having a baby in another hospital. And that was when Patty was born. And so I happened to be in the hospital with my dad and his sister while she was giving birth. So it started there. And then our circles intermingled. I ended up working with her mother at a department store for a couple of years prior to meeting Patty. And we went to the same concerts all over the Southeast. And then we finally met in 1990. And it's just amazing how our circles intertwined over the years for quite a time. And
so you met when you were 13.
13. Well, no, this was 1990. We were in 67. So we were 23.
Okay.
And no, actually, yeah, it was 23 years of intertwining together before we actually met in person. So, and believe it or not, also we talked about getting married the very first night we met. 6 months later, we did.
You just knew. I love that. Just the way that you were just made to be together, born to be together, and just kept crossing paths the whole time until you were just like, you know what? It's time for us to get married right now.
Yes, we did.
So how did that love journey end up bringing you guys into firewalking and facilitating that together?
Well, our journey together and our lives together has been kind of like a firewalk in some ways. We've been through some stuff together, some hard times. We are both in long-term recovery from an assortment of things, from drug and alcohol use, from anxiety, from depression, traumatic brain injuries. We've both been in accidents. And so we've been on a recovery journey. A good portion of our lives together. And so we have, figuratively walked on fire with each other and have come out through on the other side alive and well, and in many cases, better off for it. So that's the metaphorical story. Yes.
But such a physical one too. And I love that you brought all of that up, because most of the time people aren't fully aware of how the elementals can help their healing journey physically, emotionally, spiritually, through their psyches. How did fire specifically help you guys when in your recovery and in your healing journey come into a state of health and even deepening your relationship and your love for each other?
Well, we've always loved fire, as going camping and having campfires. Growing up on our wild side, having big, huge bonfires. So, we've always been around fire. And Patty was at a women's retreat. I think it was back in 2018. And so we do that a lot together, together and individually, go to retreats, going through different kinds of programs to help us to be better people, to get along better with ourselves, with each other, and with, the world in general. And so she was at a women's retreat that was offering a firewalk and some other activities. And she absolutely loved it. She was terrified. and she was working with a guy there that was one of Tony Robbins' fire captains from when he did firewalks in the 80s and 90s, and so
Mhm.
kind of doing his own thing. And Patty was kind of sitting off to the back, waiting, let those coals cool off a little bit. And so when it was her turn, he stopped her and said, "I've been watching you, and I think you need some fresh coals." And he puts them back on there and heats it up again. So it was very empowering for her to have to face that and say, I waited so it'd be cooler, and no, I didn't get that. And she walked and absolutely loved it.
Good for her. Good for her. So that was like a turning point, it sounds like, in her life of really conquering a fear and not really allowing herself to fall into the background, to take the easy way out, to
Mhm.
really conquer something. So this is the moment that you guys decided to do this for yourselves, to be those facilitators for others.
It certainly led to that. I think it was, I don't know, maybe a year later, the opportunity to go down to Mexico and train with some top professionals in firewalking and firewalk instructors. And so that was also leading into the time when COVID hit. And so they
Mhm.
gave us this option of can we go to Mexico and do this maybe next year, or maybe we do it here in the United States in San Antonio this year. And we were like, no, we want to go to Mexico and do that. It was such a fantastic area of Teotihuacan, where they have the Great Pyramids
Mm.
just northwest of Mexico City. And so we kind of put that off for a little while so that we could do that. And so at this point, I went down there with her, and I had never firewalled. I was intrigued by it,
Uh,
and the thought, the idea, this is really cool. I want to do this. And so we went down there together. And on the first night, we have a nice lecture with our leader. And then we go out to the fire, and I was kind of like Patty. I'm going to sit around and wait, kind of watch and see how this works. And fully intended to do it. And so I'm standing there kind of at the head of where we walked the fire lane. And I felt this physical push just come from behind. And I said, okay, I'm going. And I walked across the coals. I felt absolutely nothing on my feet, no heat, no pain, nothing, and was just ecstatic when I came out the other side. Uh, it was amazing. One of the coolest things, hottest thing, coolest things I've ever experienced. It was kind of like maybe walking on popcorn. You could feel a little bit of something, but there was nothing that was scary about it at that point. And
mhm.
so a little later in the evening, we were reflecting on this experience for us. And I said, well, I sat there and stood there, that is, and had hoped to kind of wait and watch other people, go first. And when I felt a physical push, and so I walked, and they said, well, there was no one standing around you. There
Oh,
was not. I thought it was Patty, perhaps, but she was on the opposite side of the fire, and there was no one around me. And so, um, yeah, from there on, it was, yeah, that was what I wanted to do.
well, you done made me cry a little bit. So, anyways, I love that. What a beautiful experience and a spiritual experience. And while you were talking, it was almost like I could feel it because you can only imagine what it's like to have that fear and anxiety build up, build up, build up, and then spirit says go, and you
Yeah,
go and you do it and you're successful, and there's nothing wrong. There was no pain. It was so empowering, and you can feel like your adrenals just releasing and dopamine coming out of your brain and oozing out of your body. So I imagine you were like floating on top of the world. You probably could have levitated across it at that point.
yeah, I would imagine I probably thought I was, yes.
And all the energy there with the pyramids, and I love that. Thanks for sharing that beautiful story.
And oh, you're so welcome. And there's, quite a few more. And we have some of those types of experiences with the people that come to our events on occasion. And it's really special to see people see that and feel that, and to have that special moment that they can take with them for the rest of their lives.
Can you tell us one more story? Just because I enjoyed it so much. Can you tell us one more?
One more story, like, let's think. This is kind of an interesting and funny one, and a scary one. And this one was last year over in Sweden. And we were with probably about 20 or 25 people, some of the top professionals in the world again, as we went over there to, learn from the best. We have been, an ongoing process since we started of doing our own events, inviting people, and then, going out to others to learn their craft. And so we had built a big giant fire. It was like a Viking ship. And, and it's 15 feet, 20 feet long, and big dragon head on the top of it. And it's just an amazing aesthetic and look to it. And so when we set that thing on fire, we start walking in circles around the fire with the group that were there that night. And it, after it burned down just a little bit, this guy from Hungary decided it's time to jump over the fire. And
Mhm.
so he starts and goes and jumps over the fire. And then a guy from Ukraine, now living in Sweden, he runs and jumps over the fire. And I'm like, I can do this. And I know what my limitations are as far as being able to jump and do. And I was like, I've got this. And so I jumped through the fire, run up and jump, go through the fire. And when I get to the other side, I'm standing there just looking, oh, that was so amazing. That was so fun. And I'm kind of doing this right here. And I'm going, oh, wait a minute. I burnt, a good portion of my beard jumping through that fire. It just kind of melted it. And so, yeah, I had to cut off an inch and a half of my beard, that later that evening to make it look good again. But again, I was not on fire. It was not, didn't hurt. It just something you feel at night. Oh, and the guy from Hungary, he's been doing this as a master firewalk instructor for, gosh, nearly 15 years probably, and says that is good luck when the fire touches you like that. And I was
Mm.
like, okay, I'll take it.
Well, what I've heard through all of this is that you were born to do this, that this is your calling, that you and Patty together were born very specifically to cross paths, to go on your healing journey together, a spiritual healing journey, an emotional healing journey, and to use the power of fire to do that and then facilitate that on a master level to other people. These are professionals, guys. They've trained with the best all over the world, Mexico and Sweden, and had all of these amazing experiences. So I see the mastership there and what you can bring, because fire is not destructive. Fire is transformative, transmutative. It's alchemy. It's a process of stepping on, like it's like you're walking up on one side as you are and coming onto the other side a completely different person with a slightly shorter beard.
Yes, yes. Yeah, absolutely. Fire is so transformative. It provides light so that we can see, and it provides warmth so we can stay warm in the cold environments and cold times. And I think one of the most transformative powers of fire that we don't really think about all the time early on in human history was when we learned how to cook food with it. That
Mm.
really changed how people lived to make the food more nourishing and more digestible. And so it's had a huge impact from that standpoint. And then there's all the other fun things of just standing around a fire and watching, the beauty of it. So,
I like that you said that the fire makes food more digestible, because at this retreat, it's almost like they're getting a lot of medicine for their healing journey. And the fire, while it can be a medicine in itself, is actually helping to break down that medicine a little bit too, so that it's more easily digested. I love that.
awesome. Yes.
So can you just give us like a, what does this look like, generally speaking, like the logistics of it? We're all standing there and you've got a fire going. Tell us, what does this look like?
Well, can I take a step backwards first?
We'd love
And
to. Go ahead.
right. Let's go back to I don't know, a couple of hours before the fire is burning like that. We often and or almost always set an intention for the fire,
Yeah.
no doubt about it. And it can be a group intention for everyone that's there together, also personal intentions that people will bring to it. My current intention when I'm doing fires right now is flourish, and flourishing. So I want to bring that to my life and to others that are around me. But so we set that intention, and a lot of times we will actually have the participants help build the fire stack. And so there's typically a pile of wood off to the side somewhere, and we need to get it to the spot where we want to burn it. And one of my favorite ways to do that is to line up from the firewood over here to where we want to burn it, and we pass it to each other, sharing a word of intention, sharing all kinds of word, love. Pass it on to the next person. Love. They pass it on to the next person. Peace and joy, and so we're passing it back and forth as we stack the wood, and so everybody's involved with that. And then a lot of times we will decorate it. We take flowers and twigs and sticks and put them together in bundles or as individuals, and we decorate them so that this fire has, kind of an offering of beauty of the flowers of nature that we are sending back, into the universe. And so that's kind of the setup for it. And then we light the fire. And that's usually pretty impressive, depending on how big that we built it. And that can vary. Sometimes we've done them in places where we can't have huge fires, but that still doesn't take away at all from the impact of putting it together and then lighting it together and then watching it to start to burn. And then we kind of step away from that for a little while, kind of talk about what it means while we wait for it to burn down. So that's kind of the beginning stages of it.
I love that. Absolutely, I love that. It's an entire experience. I was there. I was already decorating it. Each piece of wood had a name. I love that because that's so important for every little piece. You're picking up the wood, and the wood has a meaning and an intention to it. The light has an intention to it. The blessings, the flowers, every movement, every person who's there has a specific a desire or an intention, what they want out of it, what medicine they desire. And I love that you put your intention, because what you're bringing as the facilitator of this and what you want out of every single person who goes through this transformative fire experience is for them to flourish. And what is Patty's intention?
Her intention is abundance. And she's going into year 2 with that. She loves it so much. And abundance. She wants for us to have the funds to be able to do this all the time and go everywhere and just welcome more people to it. She wants to have the abundance of love that she gains from the people that she meets at these events and these opportunities, and just the abundance of joy that you feel in that moment and connecting with these people. And for us, a lot of our events have become about community, and in many cases, a community of recovery in some sense. And it doesn't have to be the bad recovery from the substance abuse type things, but from past traumas that nearly everybody endures. What they may be, the anxieties that we face in a world that's on fire and maybe not the greatest of ways. And just so that we can, ground ourselves. And so she loves that and wants that abundance to kind of carry through for other people.
Beautiful. So, guys, everyone who goes through this fire, just know you can have your personal intentions. You will have your personal intentions, but your facilitators, these professionals who have gone through their whole lives having a healing journey to be able to bring this to you, what they want for you is for you to flourish and for you to be abundant and for you to recover from all past traumas, all past anything that you're trying to recover from in order to be abundant, in order to flourish. This is the event for you. This is the ceremony for you. I am so excited. I want abundance too.
Yes.
I want abundance, joy, abundance of love, abundance of money, abundance of manifestations, abundance of community. That is so important. And one thing it's almost like I can envision it. I want to bring the drums. Okay, because we will have a drum circle one of the nights that we're there. And I think that the drum circle is the night after the firewalking, but I want to bring the drums to the firewalking. I feel like the community being there, supporting, yelling for each other, chanting for each other, getting that warrior mode going for them is so empowering and really lifts the spirit.
Yes, absolutely. We have a ton of drums we'll be bringing with us.
Oh, good, good.
So we probably will have enough for everybody to have some type of instrument, percussion instrument, whether it be a drum, maybe a cowbell,
Mhm.
and just sticks to beat together. And it is so powerful to put different people together in a circle with drums around a fire, and without knowing each other in a lot of cases,
Mhm.
the rhythm just comes together naturally over a very short period of time usually. And it go on and on and on, and it certainly raises the energy. It raises our noon that we call it, prepares us energetically to walk across those hot coals.
So how hot are the hot coals though? Because I think that there's some people who are really excited about this and some people who are a little afraid of this. Can you
Yeah.
tell us about it a little bit?
And honestly, we want people to have a little bit of fear about it, because if it's easy and there's no fear and there's definitely absolutely no risk of any feeling any hot or heat and pain, then it's not really fully I can't think of the word, but it doesn't fully embrace what it does because of some element of fear that's in it. Yeah, when we light the fire and burn it down to small, very small, manageable coals, kind of uniform in size, and we spread those out, and they're pretty thinly. And I've got little laser thermometers that we can shoot at it, and it'll tell us an approximate temperature, and those read anywhere from 800 to 1200 degrees Fahrenheit. Uh, that's what registers on the actual thermometer. You can see it. You look at it. You can put your hand over it, and you feel the heat. You're like, "Wow, I could cook steak on this," and you could if you left it there long enough. So it is hot. It is fire. It is coals, and so when we walk on them, we're spreading them out, in a thin layer. They're uniform in size, and wood is not a very good conductor of heat. Actually, the coals are not a very good conductor of heat. As they're burning, a layer of ash develops on the top of it.
Mhm.
So we've got some insulation there. We walk with an intention to go, to the other side. So we're not spending the time just standing there. We're going at a decent pace. Now we're not running across it. And so we've got physics on our side. Poor conductor of heat, a little layer of insulation, a small amount of time that we're spending on there, this elevated energy that we have put together, and the excitement and all of the intentions of other people, and some what do you call it, anecdotal studies have been done by lots of firewalkers. There's no empirical studies on what this thing I want to mention is that two things. I got to kind of go up there. Two things. I intend to walk across these hot coals,
Mm.
and I do not intend to get harmed. And you go with that mindset, it works. So,
So there is ash on top. So it's not like they're walking directly through a hot grill or anything like that. But I can see that the heightened energy, the intentions to go and to not go, and the intentions to go without being harmed really sets the energy for everything. It's almost like seeing it separate and a safety thing coming through, but it's more than safety. It's that transforming. It's starting out as one person, ending up as a completely different person at the other end of the line. Has anyone gotten burned before?
absolutely, it is fire. These are hot coals, and people do get burned sometimes.
Mhm.
Yes. In my experience, over the last 5 years, and all the places we've done this and all the people, I've seen no major burns ever. Uh, we've had what we call fire kisses.
Yes.
It's kind of like when you accidentally touch the stove when you're cooking, and you feel it, and it hurts, and you might have a little red spot there, and in extreme cases, might even have a small blister. With that particular touch that you did on a stove or a grill, or say a lawnmower. If you've ever been mowing the lawn and you got that hot motor going and you accidentally would touch it. And so I have seen a couple of those, but they're small and they heal very quickly.
And that's
Uh,
worst case scenario, you said, is
that
they
is
might.
absolutely worst case scenario. I don't want to tell you that it doesn't ever happen. So we want to be upfront with that. It is fire. These are hot coals, and it
Mhm.
can happen. It typically does not.
Typically does not.
Typically does not. And I compare it to, with the athletics in sports. You are much more likely to get injured playing softball or baseball than you are to be walking across hot coals.
You're probably a lot more likely to get injured driving your car or doing any number of things in this world nowadays than walking
Yes,
across that, especially since it's not like you're just like you said, the steak, yes, you could cook a steak on it, but only if you leave it there.
right.
We're actually actively walking across that layer of ash, so it's very quick.
Mhm.
Now, what you did mention another couple of activities that could be desirable, either if people are coming who can't walk, because we're very inclusive in that area, or maybe people who just want to try a little something different. You did mention there were a couple of alternatives to this or add-ons to this. Some people might want to do
Yeah,
both.
right. I think we'll probably have the opportunity for both as an alternative and an add-on. I like that. And one of them is fire bubbles. And so we're going to take a bucket of water. We're going to put some dish soap in it. Um, we're going to put some propane into that water, and it bubbles up and it puts propane gas into the bubbles. And then we can, with a little bit of instruction and safety in mind, prepare ourselves, our hands typically, to, hold a handful of bubbles and then ignite it and watch it burn for just a moment. Uh, and then we can kind of sling off the remaining suds and that and be completely away from the fire within just a moment. So that's a really exciting thing to do.
So if you don't want to walk across the hot coals, we can light propane on fire in your hands.
It sounds awful. I didn't think of it that way, but it is an alternative to walking. Yes.
And you also mentioned there's contact juggling.
Yes, so there's a ball, typically the size of a softball, made out of Kevlar. It's tightly woven together. We pour, and this one, no propane. We're going to use isopropyl alcohol for this one, which is another highly flammable substance. And so we pour that on there, let it soak in there for a little bit, and then we light it on fire. And then we can juggle it back and forth, roll it up and down our arms, pass it to other people. And another one that you get the experience of fire and some of the heats with relative safety or a lot of safety. We put other things in place. And that one is, there's still some fear involved with putting fire in your hand, whether it's on a ball or in bubbles. And so it gives you the opportunity to, embrace that. Do I want to do this? Do I feel safe and comfortable enough to do this? Or am I willing to take that risk and do something exciting and, that lights the world?
I like that, but you did say it's relatively safe. When this happens, it's very safe. And in my mind, just because I'm the troublemaker of the group, right? So I can already see how that will go because I will throw that to somebody because I don't want to get burned. It is going to light their hairspray on fire. And then we're going to have everyone running around. Okay, that's not actually going to happen, guys. That's not actually going to happen. But I do see that it's almost like that could even be a group activity of trust and group building where we're throwing to each other, and each person trusting that the other person is aiming and intending for them to catch it rather than just letting go of it all willy-nilly and getting everyone messed up. So that seems like a team building exercise.
Oh, absolutely, it is. And we would spend a considerable amount of time practicing that with the actual ball, but without it being on fire, so that you know what it feels like
Mhm.
to catch it, how it feels in your hands, going back and forth, and then passing it on. And with a communication thing, we will be communicating with the next person before we hand it off to them. We communicate, hey, I'm ready to give you the ball, and they're going to communicate back, I am ready to receive the ball. And it's a little bit, you know, prettier than that when we do it in person, but there is that communication that's going to go back and forth, and the practice, and other safety features that will be in the area, and they're available to us. So it's not just we're lighting the ball on fire and throwing it around. We're going to have practice and know what we're doing with it, right?
Yeah.
And
So
yes,
it all
very
sounds
much
very
a special
contained.
exercise. Mhm.
Good. Yeah, it sounds very contained, like there's training, there's teaching, there's talking, there's communication, there's support. So it doesn't sound like you're just throwing us in there. Of course, the master firewalker here, you guys are showing everyone exactly what to expect, exactly what to do, and how we can support each other and what our intentions are. What about aftercare? Is there any sort of, we have a lot of build up and teaching beforehand. What about afterwards? What can people expect physically or emotionally?
Um, One of our mentors likes to say that during events like this, often oil within us kind of bubbles up. And so,
Mhm.
yes, there can be that exhilaration, that elation, that levitation you talked about earlier of, being in the moment and feeling so excited. But it can also stir up some emotions that, you weren't exactly prepared for, or that you didn't think would come up at that time. And
Mhm.
so we offer a time to reflect as a group. We want to, talk about, how was this experience for you? What were your fears? What did you feel? How did you feel on the other side of it? Are you excited about it? Are you still scared? Are you angry about what happened? And how are you dealing with things that have come up? Um, Also having an opportunity for people to, break off on, one-on-one to share with somebody. A lot of what Patty's work does outside of firewalking is with peer support specialists. So you've got people that are called peers, people that have experienced the same types of things that you have, and they can share one-on-one. And when they're in groups doing this, things happen sometimes and come up. And so they've always got somebody set aside that can take somebody off to the side and work with them to help them get through something that may happen to come up. And so I feel like there's going to be plenty of opportunity that we bring to that, plus other healers that are going to be there that might be able to work with somebody. But typically, it's pretty high flying coming off of a firewall.
So everyone seems really happy, usually coming out and excited.
Yes.
Excited for what they've just accomplished as well. That's a big accomplishment. Full disclosure, I've never done this. And I imagine I might have to be one of the first to go. So I want to know that everything's going to be good. But I'm excited about it. And I can just see how transformative this is going to be, how big it is for people emotionally and mentally, because it is a huge mental thing to push yourself. Like you said, you felt a physical push to go.
Mhm. Yes, and a lot of people ask, is it's a mind over matter thing? And not exactly, but kind of. The
Mhm,
mind over matter is the part that says, "Am I willing to take that first step?"
mm,
That's the mind over the matter in front of me. Is, can I do it? Can I take that first step? Am I willing to try it, and then go through with it? And so there's really no, I'm going to do this and not get burned. There's nothing like that. We got physics on our side, but it's just taking that step. Are you
mm.
willing to try it? And another important thing to remember about this is there is absolutely no pressure, not from us, and hopefully, and we don't encourage it at all from anyone else there, that you have to do it.
Mhm.
This is totally a voluntary thing that you choose to do it. Will we encourage you? Yes. Hey, you got this. You can do this. But it is not a requirement. We do not pressure you. If you go to this event and you walk across the hot coals, it's going to be a fantastic night and a memorable experience. If you come to the event and you don't walk across the coals, it's going to be a fantastic experience and a wonderful thing that you carry with you probably the rest of your life still. So, and the same for the fire juggling, the fire bubbles, everything. It's all voluntary. We will not pressure you, and you do not have to do it. But most people do.
Yes, I feel like that actually has been a question before. And I was like, absolutely not. Of course you don't want to. I feel like when people are there, they're gonna want to, because they want to know that they can face their fears and do that. But if
Mhm.
they don't, you don't have to. Nobody's going to push you. If you feel a push, it's not us. It's spirit, right?
That's right. That is a spiritual thing. Yes, absolutely.
That's your inner push. So, is there anything else that you want people to know about you, your business, any upcoming events or offerings that you have, any workshops, anything you guys are putting together?
Oh, of course. I love it. Patty and I are both educators. I like to say that in my spare time, I teach middle school computer science and technology. And she obviously teaches a lot of behavioral health classes, certifications, and helping people on their journey to wellness. And so, what we do is we want to bring our experiences to other people, uh, to help them find wellness. To get out of stuck places, to overcome fears, to and challenge those limiting beliefs. That's all about what we want to do. We've gotten to a point where so many of the trainings and events that she's doing that aren't typically associated with firewalking, she's doing some of the activities that we do around some of our firewalks, the
Mhm.
empowerment activities. And it's become kind of a part of what she does in her training classes. And we do have an event coming up in April 5th. Um, it is in Western North Carolina around Lawndale. It's called. There's a place called Redbone Willie's. That's gonna has a nice space for us to do that. And this is an annual event that we have. We call it Wee Woo, which is wellness and empowerment at the edge of the woods. Kind of a catchy name. It does have to do with wellness and empowerment, and it is often in a field right off, by the edge of the woods. And we've been doing that for, guys, I think almost 5 years now. Where we do it in the spring, and we do it in the fall. Kind of two transformative parts of the year. As spring bursts into growth, and then in fall we do the changing colors and going into a dormancy as we prepare to sleep for the cold winter months and prepare for the growth that we again have in the spring. So we will be doing that, and it is also part of the global Firewalk Day, which is celebrated around the world. And so people in lots of countries, lots of different time zones will be having their fires, throughout the day on April the 5th. It's the first Saturday of April. And so a lot of them will stream their fires. We don't typically stream the fires like that on video, but we certainly could. We would be open to that. But to know that we're in unity with other people around the world, celebrating firewalking, the ancient ritual of firewalking, as a community of people that want the world to be unified, to come together. A lot of our elders and the firewalking, modern day firewalking, say the world needs us right now. They
Mm.
need us. They need our community. They need our healing. They need our joy and celebration. And we hope to be just a small part of that and expose and bring that to as many people as we can. It's been life changing for us. We've met some of the most wonderful people in the world, and we just want to continue and give as much as we can with it.
In order to be the light, you must endure the burning. Right, Ron?
Yes.
I love that. Thank you so much for everything that you talked about. I hope that people understand the safety aspects of this and how they're in really good hands, and everyone's going to be talking and communicating and practicing and training. And but then on the other hand, understanding the importance of it and how transformative it is to push themselves to face their fears, to really dig deep with this experience. And I'm so excited to meet with you guys in person and to be part of this with you. I trust you, okay? I trust Ron and Patty, guys. Okay. So you can trust him too. If you trust me, trust them. Everything's going to be great. I'm excited. We're all going to be transformed. We're all going to be completely different people by the time this is done and over with. And I feel like we're in really good hands with people who understand the healing journey, who understand what we want to be on the other side. Once again, this is Ron. You can find him and Patty at obsidianfirewalking.com. And they have their events posted there, but they will be here in June at our Inner Fire Retreat at I Shine Inner Fire Retreat. So if you haven't got that your ticket yet, we have a handful left. Go ahead and grab those before they're sold out. And thank you so much, Ron, for coming on the show today. And we'll talk again super soon in a couple months.
Oh, absolutely. I'm so looking forward to doing this. It's such a beautiful place and venue to hold and Western North Carolina. And we've been to that area quite a few times. It's a magical place in the ancient Appalachian Mountains. And we just connect with the wisdom that they have to offer us.
One thing I will say about Ron, I wasn't going to say this because it reflects on me, but I'm going to say this, okay? When I first found Ron and Patty and I was booking the venue, the biggest issue I was having with finding the correct venue, aside from just being drawn, because I was drawn to the right place, spirit guided me to the right mountain, but there was talk of, well, you know, we can't guarantee this or that or fires because we're in a national forest. And if there's bad weather, you know, you're not going to be allowed to have fires. And I was like, the whole retreat is about inner fire. We have to have fires. And I was on the phone with Ron, like, what are we going to do if we can't have a fire in a fire retreat? And he's so calm. That's the one thing I just want to tell you about Ron. Literally fire everywhere. And he's so calm. He was like, well, it's going to be just fine. We'll find something to do. I have so many options. And he was just so calm. And I was like, okay, I trust you. It'll all work out. And that shows a lot, not just about your personality and how capable you are of holding space for these people, but it also says a lot about your healing journey and the trust that you have there for the powers that be and for people getting what they need at any particular moment, despite what they expect.
Yes. Yeah. One of Patty's favorite sayings is, whoever is supposed to be there will be there.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
And it's always beautiful and amazing what we get to see. The fire is the teacher.
The fire is the teacher, guys. The fire is the teacher. Trust your teacher. Don't show up for a lesson guarding yourself. You have to trust your teacher to get the teachings, right?
Yeah, we're just facilitating this. The fire is the teacher.
I love that. Well, thank you so much again, Ron. Everybody out there, make sure you get your tickets. You can go to obsidianfirewalking.com if you want to see what else Ron and Patty have to offer. Make sure that you are going to earthandstarwellness.com for those tickets. And we'll see everyone again soon. Yes. Bye.